Hey guys, Adam Trigger here. It's Tuesday, and we've got a two-pack of Big East plays to talk about. Like and subscribe to the WagerTalk YouTube channel so we can continue these free picks, and we're going to get right into it. We're going to start in our nation's capital, where St. John's heads to Washington, D.C. to play Georgetown. And, I lean the Hoyas here. I would love to see if this gets bet up a little bit more because it does feel like the market is going to push this back up. Opened 4.5. I think 4.5, 4, dip down to 3. I think we're back to 4.5. If this continued to go in that direction, there is a point where I may have to jump in with the Hoyas. If I was getting a great number, like 5 or better, I think I'd have to get involved with Georgetown here for a couple of reasons. So I do think Georgetown's a little bit undervalued right now. Jaden Epps and Thomas Sorber both missed time about a week and a half ago. They're vital to what Georgetown's trying to do, especially Sorber. And they both played essentially the entire game on Saturday at Providence. The Providence Ed Cooley drama, if you will, is well documented. That's such a big game for Providence now that it doesn't surprise me at all that Providence gave a home run effort over the weekend and won that game. But I still think this Georgetown team, and I've talked about it on WagerTalk programming a couple of times this season, is very close to breaking through. Ed Cooley's a guy that I've liked since his Fairfield days when I was still a student at Siena, and he was kind of finishing second fiddle to Fran McCaffrey in the MAC every year. He always has had winning teams there. He turned Providence into a winning program. There's no doubt in my mind that he's going to turn Georgetown into a contender at some point. And I think you're starting to see that this season. And the one thing they really lack right now is a signature win. And I wouldn't be that surprised if they got it here and knocked off St. John's. This is a St. John's team. They've won 6 games in a row. They're 8-1 in Big East play. I talked about St. John's last year. If they got into the NCAA tournament, they were the type of team that could really surprise, make a deep run. They didn't end up getting in. But it's all sort of everything we talked about last year, all kind of happening this year for St. John's. Now, with that being said, they're offensively, I don't know if they're as good as last year's team. Without a doubt, defensively, they are. They're a top 10, arguably top 5 defensive team in the country, but the offense still lacks a tiny bit, and it's one of the reasons why I think you could make a case to go against them as a road favorite. They've come up on the right side of some close games this year in conference play. The 2-point win at Providence, a close win over Georgetown the first time around. The Georgetown actually led by 10 at half in that game. And then the OT win last time out against Xavier. Tough. If you played against St. John's last time with Xavier plus 7.5 and then lost by 8 in overtime, that's about as bad as it gets. So again, I think that result just goes to maybe overvalue St. John's even a little bit more coming into this spot. I was hoping for 5 or 5.5. Again, you got St. John's going on the road, a rematch. They were down 10 at halftime in the first meeting, found a way to win by 5. I feel like if St. John's wins this game, they're going to be kind of clinging on for dear life, similar to the first meeting. So I think 5 or better. I may have to get involved with Georgetown at 4.5, 4. It's a pretty strong lean for me. But I think this is a decent matchup for the Hoyas. We saw it in the first meeting. And I think that if that plays anything like that, which was a road game for Georgetown, and now the Hoyas are back home, I won't be surprised if they pull the upset here. If you're looking for a play tonight, I've got a 4% college basketball best bet for just $5. It's $5 Tuesday at WagerTalk. Every handicapper has a play up for $5. And tonight you can get my best bet in college hoop, a 4% best bet for just $5 on my page, wt.buzz/at. All right, we're heading back to the Big East, another big matchup in the Big East, and another home underdog here. Marquette Butler, Hinkle Fieldhouse tonight. But I'm going to look at the total in this one. And I feel like Butler totals are starting to get inflated. They're on a pretty serious run of hitting overs. And now at 148.5, I really think you're starting to the ask here is getting a little too big. Like if you go back to the first meeting between these two teams, it was 80-70 Marquette. you had 150 points. So it would have just barely gone over today's total of 148.5. But Butler shot 51.1% from the field in that game. And Marquette's got a top 15 defense. Like with the ability to adjust and having, played already once this year, I would be absolutely shocked if Marquette gives up close to 52% to Butler from the field in this game. What I think is going to happen is Marquette's going to adjust to shore up the paint defense, because that's where Butler kind of, scored their points in the first meeting. They were getting to the rim. And so I think Marquette's going to adjust to force Butler outside the three-point arc a little bit. Listen, Butler, that's not the worst shot for Butler. Like they can hit the three, and they will be at home here. But again, it's just tougher, in my opinion, for Butler to pile up points or to shoot 52% from the field if they're not getting points at the rim. Now, Marquette, for as good of a team as they are, they will struggle on offense at times, specifically shooting jumpers, shooting threes. Like Marquette's three-point percentage is pretty low. They get away with it because they do everything else so good. They're just so elite in other places. They can get away with that low, 3-point shooting percentage. Oftentimes it turns into an offensive rebound, and Marquette just gets a putback and scores anyway. Offensive rebound disparity was the story of the first matchup between these two teams. You had Marquette 18 offensive rebounds to 3 from Butler in the first meeting, which was a 10-point Marquette win. And when I kind of, look back at the first game and look at what Marquette might do differently here, I think Marquette's going to be more inclined to play slow and attack Butler in their half-court set for a couple of reasons. One, they have an advantage on the inside. They out-rebounded Butler by 11 in the first meeting. They crushed Butler on the offensive glass in the first meeting, and they were 6 for 30 from 3. And I think Marquette is starting to realize that 30 3-point attempts in a game is just not the way that they're going to win games. They're going to win games with their defense, and then they're going to win games by running good offense that gets the ball in the paint and gets to the rim. And I think if they do that, it's just, I don't know if you get the pace in this game to go over 148.5 if Marquette is slowing it down, because Butler is inclined to play slow. They're definitely the team that's going to be more willing to play slower. And I think if you're Marquette and you're going on the road into a hostile environment in Hinkle, it makes more sense to slow it down and try to take the crowd out of it a little bit, which I think is what Marquette is going to do as far as approaching a game plan for this game. Right now, coming into play today, Butler's 163rd nationally in field goal percentage. Marquette is 178th. You're going to need an awfully efficient game from these two teams to crack 150. And I think those two sort of figures, and then the way I think these teams want to play, lends itself to you need crazy efficiency. You're going to need Butler to probably shoot over 50% again from the field. I just don't see it. I lean under 148.5 Marquette Butler. Again, 4% play, part of $5 Tuesday, up on my page now, wt.buzz/AT. And as always, like and subscribe to the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Give me a follow on X at AdamTriggerWT, where I will be posting more free picks as part of my On the Clock segment later this afternoon. Hope everyone has a great day. Cash all your tickets. We will see you back here tomorrow.